Today we're fishing a tournament where it's been raining for weeks. The water's come way up. It's into trees that are normally on the bank. And so we're fishing flooded water, we're fishing dirty water, and gonna try to give you some tips on how I like to fish it. You can see right here that we're fishing in some buckbrush that's kind of out off the edge from some heavier, denser coverage. That's basically because this buckbrush is in about 6 foot of water, and those big green trees that you see over there to the right, those are in like 2.5 to 3 foot of water. So what I'm banking on is that these fish are out here a little bit ambushing where the wind's blowing. You can see it blowing in from the northeast there right into this brush, and the bass are kind of hanging around on the back edges of it and waiting to ambush prey. So I'm going to try a different technique or two today, but almost everything we're going to catch fish on is going to be a zoom fluke. It's going to be watermelon red, and I'm going to spray the tip of it with some Spike It Dip and Glow and chartreuse, so it'll stick out in that water. You can see here I'm doing a frog imitation basically with that fluke. I'm skipping it across the top of the water, just a real fast tip twitch there to make that thing dance across the top of the water, kind of like you would a hard topwater bait. But this technique's actually really good over grass. It's really good over buckbrush. What you can't see here is about 2 feet underneath the water are solid bushes. There's blackberry bushes. There's more trees, more laydowns and stuff. And so letting that bait sink in there for a long time wasn't really producing anything for me. But this fast skipping technique has started doing really well while the sun's out. You'll see here, this is kind of funny. I'm looking at some other areas. I'm hearing some splashes, and I brought my bait up to the top of the water, and that fish, just as soon as it broke the water, the fish came up and smacked it. So it's always a fun kind of bonus surprise when they come up and get it. The trick is you got to have a good grip on the rod, because if you don't, that thing may go overboard. So most of these fish are 13 to 14 3/4 inches. We lost a couple of decent ones, 15, 16 inches, but there's not really a lot of big fish. Thing is, we're fishing a tournament. It's a 3-fish tournament. You've only got 3 hours, and we've only got 2 hours of sun. So you kind of got to make hay. So when you're sitting on fish, if they're measuring, you got to stay. You got to get your limit and get it logged in, and make sure you get your limit in, and then you can start to look at some other areas. So you can see we're taking a picture there. That's actually the third fish. So 25 minutes in, we had a limit. So we moved over to this area. It was a little further off. There's no big timber in this area. It's all just flooded bushes, and there's a fence line that goes right there. And so I wanted to come try out, kind of flip these bushes a little bit with that plastic and get real deep in there and see if I could get anything to bite. What I'm doing here is I'm testing that theory out to see how close really they are to the cover, and I didn't pull a single fish out of here. Luckily, I've got the Hobie Outback, and so I can paddle it through that mess if I need to paddle it through there, and I can get ready and move back to my spot. So we were about 3/10 of a mile from there. Now we're back in that original spot. I paddled all the way back over there and can cover water really quickly. I can clip 5 miles an hour pretty easy. You can see I threw way back up there into that pocket and was able to get a fish to come eat. Not all of these fish are measuring, but this particular one, this is on the back side of those big trees. There was a little dip. I noticed a hole back in there that I could see, and wanted to throw in it, and sure enough, there was a bass sitting there. This area is almost completely covered by blackberry bushes, a real thorny kind of fishing. So what we're doing over here is, now this is on the opposite side of those trees again, kind of facing away from where we started, and fishing the back sides of these windblown bushes. And what they tend to really want is there needs to be a big laydown somewhere nearby where they're at, and those leafy bushes. So the buckbrush produced a couple, but almost everywhere where those leafy bushes were, we were able to pull fish. So, well, as long as it had the big timber. So these were a lot of fun to catch. Just, you know, anytime you can catch 15 or 20 fish during a tournament, it's usually fun, especially when they measure and you can call up a little bit and call up a little bit. We fished a lot of structure today, and you can see that ramp over to my right. So that's the old dock and the walk ramp and that kind of stuff that have been blown out with the flooding. I fished all the way around that dock, and there was not a single fish on it. They all were on the leafy bushes by big timber laydowns. It was crazy how close they were relating to that. But you can also see those big trees I was fishing. Those are actually really close. So the entire area that I was fishing for this tournament was smaller than a football field. It was not very big at all. And I pulled probably the most fish out of this right here. What you can't see is behind that leafy bush closer to me, there's a big tree, big dead tree that's just laying there underneath the water, and those fish were really relating to that heavy timber. And so I ended up pulling quite a few fish. See, I missed that one. Reached for the net and got had. So I'm sitting almost right on top of that big timber here, and there's fish just all in this area, all in this small little pocket. So it's a little dinker, so he gets to go back pretty quick. What I'm looking for here also is it went from kind of a mud bottom to a rock bottom over here. And so what I've been able to do several times is pull a smallmouth out of these areas, and sure enough, there was a smallmouth waiting on it. He let the other guys eat first, and then he came and ate. Unfortunately, he wasn't big enough to measure, but he was able to, give me a smile. I always get a smile when I fight a smallmouth. Even these little guys, I think he went up 13 inches or so. They're just a lot of fun. They're always feisty. You got to be careful and not get a hook in your hand, though. So that's really been the pattern for me. This pattern's proven out several times. What you can't see here is I'm fishing a big laydown that's underneath the water. So that Lowrance side scan that you can kind of see on the bottom left side of the picture there, that's let me see everything underneath the water. Like I can scan it, figure out where the big timber is, and throw right at it. Thank you guys for watching. For all your reviews, news, and all the outdoor stuff about kayak fishing, check out Payne Outdoors. We also appreciate help from NRS, our friends at Mariner Sales, marinersales.com, Shimano, and of course Yak-Power for all the help they do in getting us on the water. We appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, give us a like, leave us a comment. Thanks.